Nah, have that please. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, I wouldn't have. I've just been talking to myself for the last 20 minutes.
Okay. I mean, hello! Right, we should be here now. You should be able to hear us. Thank you very much for bearing with us if that was the case. And please let us know in chat if we aren't muted. But yeah, very much welcome along to the Grand Prix. It is, of course, the Singapore Grand Prix today. We're at round 2 of season 33. And yeah, I'm seriously hoping you can hear me. I am Gareth Allen. Alongside me today is Epic Freestyler. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. What about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one today. And let's head over. Yeah, right, okay, all good apparently. So yeah, hello to everyone in chat. George Morgan, Wildy, someone's you're gonna have to tell me how to say your name in phonetically in English at least, because that is Russian or something along those lines that I can't read. Yes,
Just have a go.
Yeah. Hardy. I'm gonna say Hardy, but that's completely wrong. Antti, yeah, welcome along to the stream. We have 31 laps of the Singapore Grand Prix coming up, and also, of course, 18 minutes of qualifying. First, let's jump in to some headlines from last week. Of course, we had the Spain race, and it was screen. So, right. So I've really mucked up this the audio today because you didn't hear me talk on that last one. But yeah, so apologies for that. That was me trying something new. At least you got to see the headlines. It was just me reading through the headlines. A bit boring. Standings, of course. FVR Wildy takes the championship lead after his win. 16 points is what he grabbed. Victor Wilder was in second position. He picked up 12 points, 10 points for No Name. Those two aren't actually driving today, I believe. So they are not going to be able to score any points. So Wildy is in a really hot position actually to maybe score points and run away with this one a little bit. And of course it's Aston Martin who are on top in the championship as yeah, the reserve driver. Only 16 points because I think the reserve driver did maybe score some points, but of course no reserve drives score constructors points. So we can actually jump straight into the race footage today, and that is of course of the Singapore Grand Prix. So what are you expecting today, Epic? What are you thinking is going to be the kind of lap times we're going to have here in qualifying?
Honestly, it's not one of my favorite circuits, so I'm not 100% sure, but probably we're going to be having around probably 1 minute 33s, 34s, most likely, possibly even lower than that if they really get the lap hooked up. Of course, we know it's a very difficult track. It's the longest race on F1 22. It's also one of the most difficult tracks just to drive, and that's what I want to focus on slightly. Is that it's a very different track. It's not, for instance, like Um, Monaco, it's wider, it's a little bit easier, but it's not exactly like some of the easier tracks out there either, like Saudi Arabia or Bahrain. And so the drivers might find it quite difficult at first. We might be seeing maybe 2 laps of tire warming up in qualifying specifically.
Right, okay, well, we have our first drivers out on track. Daniel, who is reserving in the Haas today, I believe he's in for Seb. He is going to be the first car out there to set a lap time. And yeah, he was certainly saying he could do 36s today. Of course, he's actually invalidated his out lap, but he's absolutely slinging it around there as he goes through turn 8 and 9. So really trying to get some heat into those tyres. As you said, multiple laps to maybe to get the heat into those tyres, but yeah, he's absolutely slinging it around, trying to get some heat in them as he comes across the old bridge and towards turn 13. And we're going to come through this final sector, of course, potentially having some changes for next year.
Yeah, very exciting. The under the bridge section, which we'll see coming around just the next corner. As we're still on board, if you are still on board with Daniel, here it's going to be a straight. It's not going to be any corners anymore through this final sector. It's just going to be a straight, and then the right-left snaking corner, and then the final corner that rounds through to the line. So it's quite exciting, to be honest, because it's a very different layout, and it's going to change racing, and we'll have to see, I guess, in real life if it really does.
Yeah. Of course, it will open up the final sector, make it. I think it will punish people if they make a mistake into 13. They'll be maybe more punished. But we're going to come around the final corner here, and I think Daniel maybe just running a little bit wide through the final corner, but is just about to set up the first lap of Singapore here. I think there are a few cars that have got ahead of him on the outlap as he goes through the first few corners, missing the apex of turn 3 there. 1, 2 and 3 coming very quickly, now down towards turns 4 and 5. The right-hander that leads you onto the longest part, but he cuts over the inside of that corner, so a mistake there for him. We'll jump over to the Alpine, who's also invalidated. Invalidations all around here. Let's jump over to Emmy, who is pushing through the straight at turn 6 and now down to turn 7. The 90 degrees left-hander. We could see a few overtakes into there in the racing conditions. Maybe the best overtaking opportunity on the track as he comes through turns 9 and towards the old Singapore sling. Always slightly sad that they actually ripped up those inside curvings. It was so difficult, but you can see why they did. Most of them ended up in the wall. Of course, Kimi Raikkonen being the first casualty in the first night race back in 2008. I believe it was in a practice session. He immediately binned it in the wall, and going past the section where Nelson Piquet Jr. binned it in the wall, and of course caused the whole Crashgate scenario. So as we come through the second sector split, it seems decently quick from Emmy, so we'll be able to actually get the lap times up here. So 1 minute 17 so far, and he's going to come to this really tight technical sector underneath the grandstand on the bay, and we see a 1:38 from Emmy's teammate, the Alfa Romeo driver Artois. He's done a 1:38, so that is the benchmark so far, but I think we're going to have times a little bit faster than that towards the end of this session, certainly now, and Emmy comes over the line. It's a 1:36.7 for the other Alfa Romeo driver, the 2 rookies at the top here, and the only times to drivers to have set a time.
Yeah, very good lap there. I was on board with Stella and Emmy. It just looks like Stella's setup just seems to be a little bit off as we see Kilda go P1 in the Ferrari. Very good lap there from Kilda, I have to say. But as I was saying, with Stella and Emmy, it just looks like Stella his setup seems a little bit like it's just a bit loose on the rear. He's losing grip slightly. But with Emmy, it seems more planted. I've just been on board with Matteo as well, who's just gone fastest. First driver into 1 minute 35s. And again, his car seems more planted as well. So it looks like the more planted setups to the ground, a bit higher downforce, less rear sliding, seems to be helping the drivers the most.
Yep, so Leonard Jass coming through the final sector now, just about to start, well, actually finish his lap, and the German driver, a 27 through, actually no, he's a 27 through the first sector, and completes the lap up to 7th position, and yeah, I think he'll be looking for more time on on his next lap there, because he's 7 tenths off the pace of the fastest time from NNR's Matteo. And yeah, that's a very good time into the 35s. I didn't expect it to come that quickly. I thought we'd maybe get a 35 right at the end of the session, but that is super quick from Matteo.
Yeah, definitely a good lap. He just seems like he's happy in the car. It seems like he's very calm. His throttle and brake inputs are very good. He seems to be very smooth on the throttle and quite sharp on the brake, which might be working around this track. It is known that that type of driving style does work. We've seen it with sprinters, drivers like Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, and it seems to work here for NLR Matteo.
Yeah, absolutely. Ivan Santamaria now coming towards the Singapore Sling in the middle sector, and he is going decently fast on his laps so far. A 26.851 through the first sector. We'll see what his middle sector split is soon, but absolutely committed as he goes through the bridge, and you have to be so in the Williams car, and looking to get a first lap time on the board here, of course, just wanting to get a good decent banker in, and it's a quick through the middle sector as well. That is a 36.956 through the middle sector. So this looks to be a tidy lap for Ivan, who is doing okay.
Yeah, definitely so far through this lap. Again, like I said earlier, his car seems planted, and that seems to be helping. He hasn't overheated the rears, which is quite difficult to do around this track, as I think many people know. It's quite a demanding track, like we said at the beginning of the stream. And round the last corner, it's a 1 minute 36.3 to P5. Very good, but still a way to go until that top two.
Yeah, so Diego Fernandez goes over the line. He is into 9th position. He is the highest driver behind Wildy to actually be racing today, because as I said, Victor Widler, No Name, Seb, they're currently second to fourth in the championship, and they aren't here today. So unless I'm very much mistaken, no, they aren't here. So He's basically the one who needs to challenge Wildy here. If Wildy gets a race win, he could already start to build up quite a considerable points lead in the championship. Of course, got 16 points, full points for his first win in PSGL last time out, and he was delighted about it, and very much looking for back-to-back wins. He said in the interview actually that he was absolutely aiming to win the championship. I said, I tried to kind of push him towards the championship question, and he said, yeah, that's what I'm here to do. So there was no lack of confidence from him when I spoke to him.
And that's something you want to see from a driver who can win the opening race and prove his dominance. 9-second win over driver from second is very dominant, and it's very important. And I mean, the fact is, if he can just bring that through to Singapore as well, we could be looking at our drivers' champion, a very good chance at a drivers' championship for Wildy. But he needs to get another win while he can and get all the points he can. Because that's going to be the thing that could hurt him in the end of the championship if he doesn't get points here.
Yep, so Matteo, who's finished in 8th position last time out, currently sitting in provisional pole with 8 minutes and 53 seconds left on the clock. He is looking to put in his second lap here. We'll go on board with this one. I'll let you speak it through, but I'm impressed with his performance so far, and it's clear of Kill, just clear of Kill, but way clear of the likes of Snake. Snake's of course making his first outing this year. But let's talk through this lap.
So here we are on board with Matteo into turn 1. Very good. Coming through turn 3, he gets that apex, very important, and he's confident on the throttle. That's what we need. That's what he needs, especially coming through here. A little bit tentative on the steering, but it's enough. It looks very good. A very, very strong middle sector. Coming up to the end of the first sector, it's a 400th improvement. This is very important already, with the top two looking very close between Kilda and Matteo. So far, I have to say he's driving very well. Misses the apex slightly there, but he does gain well on the throttle, not giving up on his lap. And again, coming through the old Singapore sling, he seems to be very confident. A little bit of a lock-up there. I don't think it will hurt his time too much, as he did get off of the brake. Little yellow flag ahead. Shouldn't affect him too much. And again, off of the throttle through that hairpin. really good traction off of there. And he is a tenth and a half up. Very important. Uh, tenth and a half for him just to gain that extra bit of a lead. And now coming through the last couple of corners, some of the most challenging corners on the track as well. Under this grandstand, it is really coming through now to the last two proper corners on the track. He takes it very tight to the apex, very good. Off of the exit, confident. Can he do it through the last corner? Yes, he does. Confident. Foot to the floor, across the line. It's a 2.5 improvement with a 1 minute 35.7. A very good lap there.
Absolutely, very strong indeed. It was fastest through the first sector before Matty, who is going to carry a 5-second penalty wherever he finishes today because of a collision he had with Asali's last time out in Spain at turn 5. He'll be picking up a 5-second penalty, but he was super quick through the first sector. A little bit slower than his fastest through the middle sector, but he's certainly looking to dip into the 35. Sixten Linhart has also jumped up into the 135s here. The AlphaTauri driver slotting into second position. We have some more times coming in thick and fast here as these drivers approach their second laps, and it's towards the final corner. Can Matty jump up to the top of the timing screens? Only good enough for fourth there. Kild is going through the final sector at the moment too, and currently sitting in third position. He's been a little bit off his time actually through the first and second sectors, so not great from him. But Snakes is also out there. No, Snakes is pitted. Snakes is in the pits. So both
and so is Kilder as well.
Pits. Yeah, both Ferraris returning to the pits there. And Snakes, I think, had a mistake in the middle sector, was 5 seconds off his best time through there. Artois on a lap as well at the moment. He's coming through the final sector underneath the bypass, and he returns to the pits as well. I'll just go to everyone and they can return to the pits, right?
Yeah, I'm on board with W.R. Leonard at the moment. I believe he's the next driver. He's going for it. He's doing very well. That Red Bull looks almost like the real 2022 Red Bull. It's obedient. It's got the turn in. A little bit of wheel spin, a little bit of oversteer. Round the last corner, can he do it? Here he goes. And up to the line. It's up to 8th place, so not a bad lap there. I'm trying to find another driver who is on a lap. I'm actually not sure if anybody else is on a lap. No, I don't think anybody is.
Cayenne is just starting a lap now. So the Aston Martin driver wasn't here last week, so this is first league outing this season. And the Aston Martin team didn't miss the points. I guess it always missed the points, right? But Wildy has done enough to put them in the top of the championship so far. But Cayenne on his first full lap of qualifying in season 33 here.
Yeah. So far, good sector one. He seems quite a bit off of his teammate, though. That was around 8/10 off, I would say. So he's got quite a long way to go for the rest of the lap. He's keeping it good. He's keeping it close to the apexes. He's doing very well through this second sector, I have to say. Very comfortable. I've just realised he's not using any ERS.
Right. So maybe the double push lap, like you said. Maybe the double push lap. But yeah, not using any EOS, so just getting the tyres up
the
to
game
warm.
tricking me.
Yeah, no, I can't see any EOS users either. So so he's just maybe on a double push lap and looking to do what you said in the build up to this and do 2 runs to get the absolute best performance out. I didn't really think that carried over to the game, but what do I know? I'm just there's a reason I commentate and and don't race. Michelle out there on a lap as well at the moment. They are pushing through the second sector, in fact, and coming towards turns 9 and turns 10. Oh, actually, no, going through turn 10 right now, and towards the bridge they go at turns 13, using every bit of track on the right hand side to open up this tight hairpin corner. I think we'll see a few mistakes at that corner for sure, and possible overtakes here. Of course, is a DRS straight down there, but doesn't last for very long. Next year, maybe it becomes a little bit more of an open thing, as of course this extends all the way down to what is currently turn 20, but will become turn 16. But Michelle out there on a lap, it is a 26.878 in the first sector, 36.774 through the second sector. So no fastest sectors at all, but a decent lap nonetheless. I think they'll sort of jump them up the board and towards the top 10 certainly. Where will they go time-wise? It's into 7th position.
Yeah, very good there. Again, like I was saying earlier, balanced car is something that at Singapore over the past couple of games, each game it seems like it changes. Sometimes more for an unbalanced car, more for a rearward car that does, the rear slips out more, seems to work better. But on this year's game, it looks like a more planted car just seems to work. And it's proving for especially drivers like Michelle. Looked like, possibly struggled slightly on possibly acceleration and braking at points. But that just having a car that's grounded and just keeps going is something that's helping there. And that's where they really gained the time.
Yeah, so Benche Fastcast absolutely chucking it around that final sector. They're just starting a lap here. Have a little bit of traffic just ahead. I think that's the Aston Martin of Cayenne who's just come out of the pits. So the Alpine driver currently sitting in 10th position is on the run down towards turn 5 here, the left-hander. And sorry, not turn 5, turn 7. It feels like it should be turn 5, but I always forget there's three corners in one right at the start. I feel like that could be classed at one at other circuits, like Ascari at Monza. But towards turn 10 here, and actually backing out of this lap for whatever reason, deciding this isn't going to be a one for them. And yeah, there's more cars out there on times. Of course, Mika is coming around the final corner. They're about to start a lap.
Yeah, apparently I'm on board with Mika. So far, he's looked pretty good on pace. He's kept it close. He's done pretty well to be P8. It's a pretty tight field if you look from 6th down to 8th. As we see Michelle retire from the session, first retiree. But it was in the pits though, so it was by choice. But you see, it's a very tight grid. The fact that 1.5 tenths covers from 6th to 8th is a very close midfield. And so far, Mika is doing very well on that first sector, currently up by about 200, I believe. So very good first sector so far. And again, it's so difficult to see the difference between, for instance, a driver like Matteo, who did a 35.7, and Mika from the first or even the second sector, because all the drivers are doing so well. But it's just the subtle differences that are making the difference in lap time. A little bit bad on the hairpin there, lock up, struggle, like you were saying earlier, Gareth, about that hairpin issue. As the session is over, these will be some of the drivers' last ones. It will be the last one for Mika. Looking to who else? I've just looked ahead to Linthart, and he's on a lap as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers on a lap here. The closing moments of qualifying here. So we have a few times coming in. Sixton Linhart goes to the top of the timing screen. That's a 1:35.542. There's fastest first sectors being traded by Matty and Snakes. And Snakes has picked up this fastest sector through the middle as well. And it was a fastest sector through the final for Sixton Linhart. So Snakes out there on a lap. Matty out there pushing through the final sector. So is Snakes. They're coming around towards the final corners now, and Snakes, who's had a very, very strong lap here, could go to the top of the timing screens, does go to the top of the timing screens. That's great. That's a 1:35.531 from him. Will Matty be able to top it? He did have the fastest middle sector, but he does not improve, so a mistake through that final sector has cost him big there. Matteo was fastest before these final runs and looking good again, but not massively fast on these laps here, but was actually fastest through this middle sector, so Matteo could jump up the timing screens and take back that position. Only good enough for third. Ivan Santamaria coming around the final corner now. He does improve his time, but only good enough for 7th position, and I think that is the top runners who are finished. Leonard Jask coming around the final corner. Can he do anything about that? No, spins out the final corner and won't be able to set a fast lap time. Cayenne avoids it. Wildy sets one lap and gets into 4th position. So he started pole last time out. Championship leader. He'll be starting in 4th, but it's Snakes on his first race in season 33 here has put it on pole. So congratulations to him. No fastest sectors for him, but just got the overall lap together.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was saying. It's the first lap that really counts here, and it's the overall lap. It's not a single sector, because each sector is quite long around this track. And I mean, the fact that we're looking at the top 4 split by just less than a tenth, 800ths, is crazy. It just shows that these 4 were so close on their overall lap time and from sector to sector that just kind of shows that from for instance, drivers like Matty, who perfected one sector, for instance, I believe it was sector 1, he's sit P6
Yeah.
compared to the drivers who, for instance, who didn't perfect every sector, but they did very well in each sector, getting close to it, that got those top 4 and stayed within a tenth of each other.
So some good times. We'll jump to an advert break and be back for the Singapore Grand Prix. So we're 5 seconds away from the Grand Prix here, and it is the Snakes who is on pole for the start of this race. It's 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And a long pause, but we go racing in Singapore, and it looks to be a good start from Sixten Linhart, who looks to get up the inside of Snakes at the start here and gets into first position. Mattio's been able to maintain position, but they're still fighting through 1, 2 and 3. Snakes is not going to take this lying down, but I think has actually just dropped behind the leader Sixten Linhart here. Mattio keeps third position, Killed is into fourth, and Wildy loses out and drops down to fifth position, but those two are still battling down the straight and towards turn 7 to go. Actually a little bit of wheel banging between the two around the outside at turn 7, and he is going to keep it the inside for turn 8, and I think he's just about going to ease into that one there. So Wildy does return back to fourth position there.
Very, very crazy start. Very good start from Sixten Linhart as well. The fact that that start was pretty good. It was pretty close, side by side, all the way through until the exit of turn 3 is very important there for Linhart to jump Snakes like that. But also a very important start for our championship leader, Wildy, who has had to fight, and he might have to fight again to hold on to P4, as he has got Kilder, who is just right there in the Ferrari, waiting to get by. But a very good start from most of the drivers. A bad start from WR Leonard, who's currently down 5 places. So it's been a struggle for the Red Bull, who is currently last. But overall, it's not been too bad, as I've just seen Stella almost hit into his teammate Emmy.
Yeah, lots of battling, down from 9th to 15th position, very tightly packed. Just for the final points paying position here. Sixten Linhart goes over the line, and it's 144 for him, so he is into the lead of this race. He'll try to extend out. Meanwhile, Emmy looking for a move on Benche down into turn 1 here, and does get ahead. Was a little bit of contact maybe, but that shuffles him out. Artois will look for the move into turn 5 here, and doesn't manage to capitalise on his teammate getting by there. So yeah, Emmy up to 11th position there.
And Stella is going through as well, using his overtake. And we might also see Kine get through at the same time. This is a bad start for Bentz here. Really struggling to hold on for position. Bentz still fighting over. Oh, and the Haas, I've just seen a Haas go off. I think that was Daniel that went off. But Kine does pull off the move anyway on the Alpine, as now WR Leonard has got him in his sights. But it was a mistake from Daniel, who on the mediums, who is down to last. Not a good start for Daniel there. It just looked like he locked up and just went off. He just went on the brakes too late. He's also the only driver who has started on mediums, as I see WR Leonard get past Bentz as well. So what a crazy start.
Yeah, so
a lot of the drivers here.
I think Benche is actually carrying a little bit of front wing damage, so that could explain why his pace is so bad at the start here, falling down into 15th position. Is the Alpine driver, so going backwards in the race, and let's see where the battles are on track. Of course, it was Benche who's lost 2 positions from the start here. Started third, I think, went forward, but ended up going backwards overall. because of an incident, and comes into the pits. Not a surprise at all there, but we do have DOS enabled on this lap, and Ivan Santamaria in 6th position is only 5 tenths behind Kilder for 5th position, and maybe thinking about a move. Also Wildy out there looking to make forwards progress in the race. He'll be happy that everyone in front of him is a long way behind him in the championship battle. Of course, Wildy leads the championship after winning in Spain, but he'll be trying to get up there and get as many points as he can. So difficult to overtake at this street circuit.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that Wildy has to be careful of is potentially if he does try to go for a dive bomb, he's got to be careful. Like you said, narrow streets. It's also it's not a track with not much grip. So if you look up, you're going to go really wide, and you're going to really lose out a lot of lap time and possibly tyre wear as well. And so this could be the problem for Wildy, is trying to get past, because Kilder, I just want to say, just quickly, looking at the driver behind Kilder, is dropping off actually from Wildy. It looks like Wildy just has a bit more. Wildy gets a bit out of shape, but so does Kilder, so lucky there for Wildy. But he is struggling. It does seem like Wildy is having to push to keep up with Matteo and the front three.
Yeah, so yeah, Kilday will be looking for any mistake from Wildy ahead, and it's very, very closely packed. Actually, everyone within the top 10 having DOS on one another, except from, of course, Lindhart, who leads the race, won't be picking up any DOS at any time soon unless there's a lapped runner. But, of course, there's 2 cars who have already pitted, Benche, Fazcas and Daniel both pitting, I think, but Daniel picking up a bit of damage, going too deep at turn 13 and hitting the wall, clattering the wall, I should say. But Kilday absolutely in the fight here. Matteo in 3rd position. They look strong in qualifying and look strong throughout the whole of qualifying, just being pipped by Snakes and Lindhart. Will they look to close down, or is it just a game of preservation at this stage? Try and save your tyres and go for something at the end of the stint, with all of our drivers really out there on the optimal strategy being on the hards here.
I think you're right there. I do think it is like that, but that's the whole difference. They're all on the same strategy, so it is fighting for position, not over strategy. So it's not like, for instance, let's say Snakes went to the mediums and Matteo and Lindhart were both on the hards. You know, different strategies there. They're all on the same. They're all on probably quite a close strategy with each other, and it just makes me think, well, it's going to be difficult for these guys to then try and make some sort of move because of the strategy. Unless you pit on different laps, which is quite risky, they're going to have to make the moves on track instead of through the pits.
Yeah, so Sixten Lindhart leads the Grand Prix here on lap 4 of 31, and just snaking his way around the final sector with Snakes behind, looking to pounce on any mistake he'll make. But he looks very, very comfortable here and looks to be controlling the tempo nicely, knowing that, you know, he can go as slow as he wants through the tight fiddly bits, but as long as he's got the straight line speed on the straight, mainly on the running down to 7, there's no chance that Snakes will get by. So he just needs to keep it calm and controlled here, does the AlphaTauri driver, as he comes towards the right-hander. But Benche, I think Benche's pitted again, so Benche is going to be desperate for a safety car here because he's already in danger of being lapped.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel he has gone for the medium, so he's gone for the risky strategy, possibly trying to find pace that way. But he's stopped twice now, and that's going to hurt him in this race. And I'm not saying that he is completely out of the race, but I would say as it stands, he is out of the running for really gaining any positions. Unless he gains lots of time and finds really good pace, it's going to be a very big struggle.
Yep, 100% looking for that safety car at this stage of the race. That's a shame for him, but you know, things can come towards you, and sometimes you've just got to stay in it to win it. Looking back at maybe one of the best performances by a driver ever, Jenson Button at 2011 Canada, he pitted about 7 times in one race and ended up winning it dramatically on the final lap. So you have just got to be in it to win it sometimes. Diego Fernandez in 8th place has just been distanced a little bit by Matti here in 7th, so that could consequentially make them a little bit vulnerable to Michel in 9th position, the Williams driver, because of course they've lost that DRS advantage, and it is probably worth 2 tenths a lap.
Yeah, I would say it's worth more than that, because it seems like it's around 3-4 tenths, because looking at the lap times between Snakes and Linthart, it looks like Linthart is going well, and Diego Fernandez is going into the pits early in this race.
I think
Maybe
it's
he's
for
not feeling
damage.
the hard.
I think it's for damage, and I think Michelle's just hit the wall as well through the final sector, and they're both pitting for damage. If you are looking at buying any GT Amiga products, of course you can use PSGL for 5% off in your checkout, so 5% off your final purchase price. You can get that off. If you could be in some GT Amiga products, then you might as well use that, save yourself a little bit of money. But Michelle pitting here and having a front wing change, so was Diego Fernandez, so they will be racing each other. Actually, no, I think Diego Fernandez has actually just not, I don't think he was pitting, no, he must have been pitting for damage, because he did say he had damage, but runs a little bit wide on the exit there, but just about keeping his wheel within the white line there. So he is down in 13th position, but he'll have to go very long on a pair of mediums there, as you said, and that is that's not a possible move at this point. And surely he'll have to pit again, and one of the drivers who will be hoping for a safety car out there.
Yeah, definitely. And this is sadly the thing. You've got to risk it. And like I think every esports driver, and I think every driver that does motorsport knows, you've got to risk it sometimes. But sometimes it's too risky. And I do feel like if Diego Fernandez did not have damage, he's gone too risky. And he's gone too risky too early. I just want to draw your attention up ahead to Kilda and Wildy again, as Wildy's struggling to keep up with Matteo, and Kilda's come back. And he's really close. He's looking for any mistake Wildy will make. But it just seems like Wildy has a bit more grip on traction compared to Kilda.
Yep, so Kilda in that fish helmet. I'm not a fan of the fish helmet, I must say. Looking to pounce on Wildy here. Wildy having a few mistakes through that final sector, but is closing up through the first and second sector. So I would imagine Wildy is maybe running just a little less wing than the other drivers if he's able to close up that dramatically through the long straights. But Kilday is desperate to get by, and maybe having a few more clicks of downforce isn't proving well for the Scuderia driver, because of course you can't really overtake through the tight fiddly bits unless Wildy makes a mistake through there and leaves himself open to a move. Meanwhile, Cayenne and Stella are battling, and it's a move for 10th position. This is a move for points. As they come through turn 8, Cayenne will have the inside of turn 9, and Jask is just behind these two, looking to pick up any scraps, but Cayenne into 10th position there. Artois in 11th.
Very important move for the Aston Martin of Cayenne there. Also, I think that this is there's a strange gap, because there's a 2.5 second gap between Emmy and Mika. And there's then about 5 second gap between Mika and Matty. Are we looking at Mika being the driver who is, I don't want to say it, but the driver who's sort of in the middle of nowhere slightly? I call it no man's land, because he can't overtake, but there's no one to defend from either. And that's the whole thing that I'm finding from Mika, is that he's got good enough pace to stay ahead of Emmy, but he hasn't got good enough pace to catch up to Matty at the moment.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Stranded a little bit in no man's land is probably the way you'd put that one. He's, not... Could be quite a lonely race from here on out, but Daniels retired from the race. That's in the pits. Daniels pulled it into the pits. I think he's been lapped, realised his days are done here, and has given up the ghost with that one. So Daniel into pits. DNF, our first DNF from the race here on lap 8, and we have 23 laps of racing here, and Snakes still desperately trying to get in front of Sixten Lindhart, the Alpha Toy driver who's led since the opening moments of this Grand Prix. Off the line, a better start up the inside, battled all the way through turns 1, 2, 3 and up to 5, and Sixten Lindhart has just been able to keep his advantage in front of the Ferrari driver Snakes here. Snakes is just patiently waiting, I feel like, to make a move. If there's any mistake, I'm sure he'll be there to make a move. Wildy has got very close to the back of Matteo. Meanwhile, Kild has also got close to the back of Wildy in kind. So Kild certainly starting to feel like he's going to have to turn up the wick. And what are you seeing?
Contact between Wildy and Matteo there. And there goes Kilda. He's waited for his moment. Wildy's gonna try and hold on. He can't. The Ferrari's got too much on him. And that is it. Into that corner after that second DRS zone, I saw Wildy hit into the back of Matteo, although slightly, it caused him to lose that position, sadly. And that's a big mistake from our championship leader. Ooh, again, almost sending it into the wall. Maybe he might have some slight damage there.
Yeah, huge wobble out of turn 21 there, and very lucky to collect the car, but does fall down into 5th position. Killed has just fallen out of DRS range with that Battle of Wildy there, so he's got a bit of work to do to close down on Matteo as we start to see the natural field spread here and the cards separate out as we come to about 2/3 1/3 of the way through the Grand Prix here, and it's just the front three who are within DRS. Killed will be desperate to get DRS here. Now, he's been very good through the tight technical sectors, and maybe a high downforce setup can bring him towards Matteo and bring him back towards this fight, but does gain a position. But sometimes it's better working together with the cars ahead. But of course, Wildy made that mistake, and when you overtake into slower speed corners, you can often lose a bag of time. But Killed working his way back into DRS here, and that's absolutely important for his race as he comes around turn 13 and into the middle DRS straight, and I think he is just picking up DRS, so he is got back into DRS. Meanwhile, Wildy losing out to Ivan Santamaria, so yeah, I think he must have damage. Also, Matty looking to come on up the inside there, and oh, there's maybe a little bit of contact. He'll try to keep 2 wheels in, but Wildy will keep in front, so I think Wildy is just trying to take this one to his pit stop, so will he maybe think that he's got to come into the pits here and service the damage because he's losing too much time.
Yeah, definitely. I do think Wildy has... I suspect it's possibly body damage slightly. I do suspect that. Or it might be front wing end plate. I'm not 100% sure with that. But like you were saying, as he does come into the pits, our championship leader in the pits early, it must be a front wing for the Aston Martin driver. But as you were saying, Snakes wanting to get ahead of Sixten Linthart. But I want to talk about the ERS management around this track, because you look at Kilder, 30% ERS, Matteo, Snakes, and Linthart all have over 50% each. Is this possibly strategy from the front three, knowing they've got the sort of natural pace to be able to stay ahead, and so they're just saving their ERS to attack, or for instance, in Linthart's case, to defend?
Yeah, well, track position absolutely king around here as we see Wildy come out of the pits, and I think he's going to be overtook by Diego Fernandez and Michel, who both pitted onto those medium tyres earlier on, and I think Michel could get by Wildy here too with those warmed up mediums. It will certainly be thinking about a move down to turn 7, the left-hander at the end of the start finish, well, the long DRS straight, and up at the inside at turn 6. He's going to go around the outside at turn 7. A little bit of contact between the two. That means Michel has dropped back, and I think that Wildy will just hold on to 13th position there, but fighting on the exit, not what they wanted. Probably want to get their head down in clear air, but stuck in a little bit of on-merit traffic. Both of these cars have pitted. I think Diego Fernandez carrying more front wing damage out there.
Definitely, yeah. I do think there is a slight problem at the moment for Wildy, is because of that early pit stop, he's going to get stuck. Oh, and he's going for the move into the hairpin. Like you said in qualifying, a place where we might see overtakes, but I did not expect to see an overtake like that one. A massive dive bomb from him. He's going to hold on to P12 as well. Very good move from Wildy. One of the best I've seen around this track. And Kilder has a 3-second penalty. Multiple warnings. This is going to be very important for drivers like Ivan Santamaria, and for Matteo, knowing the driver behind isn't necessarily going to be able to attack for position and stay ahead.
Yeah, Cayenne also looking to get by Emmy for 8th position here, looking very racy behind the rear gearbox of Emmy as they come on to this main DRS overtaking straight to turn 6 and turn 7, looking to the inside but just a little bit too far back, not having enough front downforce and low downforce and momentum to get that move done there. But Cayenne looking very frustrated behind Emmy for 8th position, so we should keep an eye out on that one. Leonard Jask also very close behind another Alfa Romeo. So these two rookie drivers for this season, new to PSGL for F5, both under a bit of pressure here, and they've got to show some steely determination to hang on to these positions.
Yeah, I think Stella Artois really needs to pick up the pace slightly, because he's in a very weak spot. Wildy is 21 seconds behind WR Leonard and behind Stella, but Stella is out of DRS from the guys in front. and he's not catching. And this is what's going to hurt him. But as you said, there is a fight up ahead between Cayenne and Stella's teammate, Emmy, who are fighting over P8 here. They still haven't stopped yet, but this is the important part of the race, is that these drivers from sort of P maybe 6 backwards are going to be very important in this race because it could affect the leaders if they stop, for instance, or it could affect the race at any point because of safety car or anything. But really, for Emmy, the important thing here is to try and catch up to the guys in front. But it does seem like he is struggling slightly for Emmy to catch up, especially that now Cayenne, Stella, and WR Leonard are all catching up and keeping up with Emmy. It looks like just Emmy looks. It looks like the car looks just like it's got a bit of understeer for Emmy, and that is really affecting the car. As we said earlier about how the setups can really affect the car. Understeer on this year's game definitely hurts you around this track, and it seems like it's definitely hurting Emmy.
Yep, Jask also right up behind Stella Artois for the final points-paying position here. Again, not getting by. At the front, we have Matteo very close behind Snakes here and still in this DRS train. So finding it hard to overtake. But I feel like as soon as Snakes lets that gap fall to more than a second, Matteo will get very racy and try to get by. I wonder if any of these will start to think about an early pit stop to try and break this train and get ahead on the mediums. Of course, you'd have worse degradation towards the end of the Grand Prix, but you will have track position, and track position means so much here. I'm sure someone must be thinking, what is the earliest time I can pit onto the mediums and survive all the way to the end? Or maybe we'll see a driver hang out there, go hang for a safety car, you call it, the Valtteri Bottas move, where you stay out and out and out and hope a safety car comes. Now, we are at a circuit where a safety car has come out at every single Grand Prix ever held at Singapore, so there's always been laps under safety cars, so very much a possibility. But yeah, I wonder if that will be the kind of moves that we see our race leaders go for. Very tight between first and fourth position.
Yeah. I do think there is the one thing, though, is that Matteo might feel slightly more comfortable because he's safe, because Kilder has that 3-second penalty. And that's something I think Matteo will definitely be remembering, is that he is safe, as we see Wildy put in another fastest lap of the race. But yeah, Matteo needs to make the move soon, because he was the guy who, of course, was on provisional pole, was the driver who we thought was going to get on pole, who was very close, and he's 600s off of pole. But the one thing it seems like these top three do have is that they're all so similar on pace, none of them can actually get past each other. And there's a bit of a stalemate going on here. But the one driver who does look like he is struggling a bit more than anybody else is Snakes, because he can't seem to get ahead of Linthart, but he is struggling slightly to push back Matteo.
Yeah, I've not seen that gap come below 5 tenths for a long time, I must say, and quite often will jump up to 8 tenths through this final sector. So that to me would say that they're struggling in the high downforce parts of the track, not using enough curbing, and yeah, using the curbs around that final sector so crucial. Our pole sitter fell down second position early on in the Grand Prix and has been struggling since then. Really just happy to be in this train, I believe, and cruise in second position, especially with the likes of Wildy out of the points here. Our championship leader, race winner in Spain last time, had an easy time, lights the flag victory, had that contact with the wall and fell down through the order, had to pit in 12th position. I wonder if that will come good for him, though, because he has pitted onto a pair of mediums, and I wonder if he'll fancy maybe an alternate strategy to try and bring the race to the other drivers here.
But as we can see there, Wildy gets a 3-second penalty.
I hyped him up. That's the problem there.
Chances. But I think Wildy does have the one issue is he's going to have to string out those mediums for so long. Unless there's a safety car and he, for instance, lap 25, he goes for softs or something, he's going to have to string out those mediums very long. But I think a 2-stop is what Wildy's going to need, and that's going to hurt him. I just want to draw your attention slightly to another part of the track, back to the Cayenne Emmy fight going on. And these two have closed up a lot now, and they're really getting on with pace now. Emmy is actually catching Mika, and Cayenne is almost pushing Emmy to speed up. And it's a very interesting thing that you don't see that often when the driver behind is the one who's pushing you to go faster. As we see with Kyan, he's almost pushing Emmy through each and every corner. Of course, Emmy has that red light flashing on the back of his car, um, which means 10% or less ERS left. As Kyan is saving his ERS for possibly a push down onto the uh, second DRS zone. But still, so far, it's looking very good and very close between these two. But it's almost, again, like the fight out front, that they're all just all pushing each other to go faster instead of trying to make moves.
Yeah, 100% Cayenne. Actually, Emmy running a little bit wide through the first three corners there. So through turn 2, that would have been. And I think you can get away with it a little bit, cutting that corner, of course. But, of course, the stewards are always watching, and if you cut too many corners, they may want to hand you a few warnings anyway. But Cayenne now closing and closing. Going to look around the outside at turn 6 and in the inside of turn 7. Can he finally get the move done? He does. On lap 15, he gets into 8th position. He's been pushing Emmy along, as you said, and finally gets into 8th position. Let's see how quickly he can close up on Mika in 7th position, whether that gap will come down quickly. But I feel like Cayenne had the pace for quite a number of laps there and was very frustrated by the Alfa Romeo driver, who falls into 9th position, Artois in 10th. So Alfa Romeo in 9th and 10th in the race here.
Yeah, definitely a very important moment in the race, because the battling is, of course, it makes a bigger time difference because you're losing time because of the battling. But now, as we look back to that Emmy battle, we see Stella Emmy's teammate has also closed up with WR Leonard. They're both within a second now. This is going to be an important moment for this almost more sort of rear of the midfield pack here, on where they're going to, where do they want to try and find pace and make overtakes, as Emmy is outside of a second now, so Emmy won't have DRS. This is going to hurt Emmy because Stella and Leonard are going to both catch up very quickly with the DRS.
Yep, coming to half race distance here, or just over half race distance of this 31 lap race. Emmy are now going to be under a little bit of pressure from his Alfa Romeo team. Everyone from 11th upwards haven't pitted, all on that hard tyre. Now, Wildy is not too far back here from certainly the hard runners, so I think he'll get in front of those, but it looks like he'll have to stop at least once more. It'll be interesting to see where Wildy comes out in the pack once we have our first pit stops. How early do you think the cars can pit on these hard tyres?
I think they can go till lap 20, and then I would say go for mediums. Or if you want to try and go for the softs, which is risky because of overheating, but if you want to try it, you could go till about lap 22, 23 would be about right. I would say lap 22, 23 would be the latest you can go with the hards.
Right, okay, so yeah, expect maybe the next 4 laps we'll start to see the first pit stops come in. I think once one car stops, they'll all have to kind of react because the undercut will be absolutely huge here. And yeah, unless someone feels like they've been maybe just sandbagging a little bit their pace and they can unleash something more on these hard tyres, maybe do a little bit of hammer time and pull the final bit of wear out the hard tyres, and I think everyone will just try to cover itself off and go for the medium tyre, which of course it'll just be so much faster. But we see a mistake. No, Snakes into pit, so Snakes has been the first one to blink, and I didn't think Snakes did blink actually. So into pits he goes, puts on a pair of medium tyres, and this will set off and trigger a whole wave of pit stops here.
Yeah, on your Snakes comment, new David Attenborough here today. But honestly, no. So Snakes pulls the trigger early, quite early, I would say. He has gone to the mediums, but it's an early pulling of the trigger. It's almost reminding me of Mercedes and Spain 2021, pulling the trigger early and getting that little bit of time gain out of it. But the whole problem for Snakes here is that Matteo was very close to him, and because of that, because there's such a small difference between the top 3 and even the top 4, we could be seeing possibly these top 3 possibly jump him slightly because they're so close, and it's going to be difficult to I can't even tell you right now who would be where because off of the timing because they're too close.
Now we have Wildy, who pitted 7 laps ago, slightly ahead of Snakes here. So Wildy showed the time gain because, of course, he had the longer pit stop, 5 seconds, lost a lot of time on that tyre, but has shown his pace, got in to 11th position, and Snakes is going to find it really, really hard to overtake Wildy here because he's a driver who has got a lot of pace. Of course, our championship leader will try to get those mediums to the end. I think it will be very, very tall order to do so, but Snakes will be under pressure here. We'll see how quickly he can get behind the DRS, but Sixten Linhart has decided to match Snakes here, and indeed Matteo and Killed also come into the pits. So all 3 of those drivers into the pits. The top 5 are into the pits now. So this will be very interesting on pit exit where Sixten Linhart will get out. Will they get out in front of Wildy? And I think it's going to be a very, very tight indeed. We have Snakes coming around the final corner now, and it may be the overcut that has worked out better here. You can see the cars coming out the pits. This is a fight for the net lead of the race. Wildy actually gets ahead of all of them, and Snakes does actually jump Sixten Linhart there, so the undercut has worked massively. He's gained about a second's worth of time, even being clung up behind Wildy, and now the race is, can Wildy get to the end on that pair of medium tyres?
Very important. Yeah, that's well. Remember, he's got his penalty as well, which is going to affect his race. But it's important though for Snakes now, because if Linhart and Matteo all get warm tyres to pick up the pace, and for instance Wildy maybe goes a little bit slower to conserve his tyres, we could definitely be seeing a battle for the win here between possibly 2, 3, or possibly even 4 drivers altogether. But the important part now is that Kyan is leading this race. But the biggest part of this is that, is he going to stay out longer? Because if he does, this could mean that this could affect the strategies of others if he keeps on staying out, because it means that he's stretching the hards longer and possibly he'll go to the soft and gain more time out of that.
Yeah, so Snakes right behind Wildy here for 4th position, almost bumping into the back of him as they come through the chicane at 16 and 17, and he'll want to avoid back. Of course, do not want any damage, do not want to damage your chances at winning the race here. Snakes will be all over the back of Wildy. You're right, Cayenne, Artois, Jasque, they could go very long here, and as they do that, 2 of them actually come into the pits, so it's only Jasque who could go long here and try to get that offset of tyre, which would be perhaps very useful in a safety car situation. We'll see how that plays out, but Snakes here right on the back of Wildy, and it could be a move down to turn 7 at the DRS. It's very much Wildy already going defensive into turn 5 here, the right-hander. Then the DRS will flap open, and Snakes, who's right behind Wildy, will want to get by because he can feel Sixten Linhart breathing behind, and alongside he'll go, and I think he'll make it move done very, very easily. Now he won't be able to put the hammer down too much because only 1.3 seconds up the road is Leonard Jasque let to pit.
Massive collision between Linhart and Wildy. Linhart went for the move. I think he might have wing damage. I suspect he might.
Right, okay, so that is big. So Sixten Linhart, who's led so much this race so far, led almost all the laps since lap 1, has maybe had a collision with Wildy, trying to go for a move, follow Snakes through. I missed that a little bit on the coverage, so apologies for that. But has he got damaged? It's very, very... He's not completely all over the back of Wildy. Meanwhile, Snakes Snakes has just been took out. Then Jasque and Snakes fighting in to turn 14 there, and Snakes is out of the race. I'm surprised that isn't a safety car with where the car has finished on the outside there. So, but yeah, that is a safety car because I think... so the safety car has come out here. So huge moment there. We saw Leonard Jasque and Snakes come together, and of course Jasque was absolutely entitled to defend that position, but we didn't see the internet. Now we see Jasque and Wildy come into the pits, and the other cars will all opt to stay out, but Wildy, I would say, is somewhat back in this race because of that safety car.
I'm just shocked by that. I mean, we do know there are some things on this game about the damage where it's sometimes unrealistic. Like it was slightly there because he had slowed down quite a lot. But from where I was looking with Snake's point of view, there was no contact. It just looks like Snakes went a bit too deep. He tried to fight it too much. And it looks like it could have been just I think it was just an incident that happened between 2 drivers. honestly, I think WR Leonard went defensive, Snicks went offensive, and both of them made their own mistakes. And so I would say there isn't really anybody you can blame there. So it is really just a racing incident. But this has opened it up for drivers like Sixten Linthart again to take back the lead of the race. But what about a few other drivers like Matty back into, and think about Ivan Santamaria. He's P4. This guy could be fighting for a podium. We weren't thinking of that a couple of minutes ago. Now we're thinking that he could fight for the victory here.
Yeah, so in P4, I mean, he didn't particularly seem on speed with the other cars in the first stint on the hard tyres. So I think that would maybe factor against him. But maybe on the medium tyre, he can pull something out the bag here. Matty, of course, has that 5-second time penalty to be applied to his race time because of the incident last time out at Spain with Asseles. So he would need to get into the lead and build a 5-second gap. Not counting anyone else's penalties in the race. Matteo in second position. Sixten Linthart retakes the position, but I think he would have pitted if he had damage there. I think he would have pitted under the safety car period if he had damage. But certainly, it does put a cat amongst the pigeons in terms of strategy here, but a lot of the cars had got their strategy done. I think it was only Leonard Jask yet to pit off those hards, and of course we'll see what the stewards think of that instance. So I'm sure it will go to the stewards, whatever happened there. We'll see when that is posted in the Discord chat. And I didn't actually catch a view of what happened there, so I couldn't make any comments, but it will all be dealt with appropriately by the stewards.
Yeah, definitely. Tough decision, of course. I think if I was to make a decision on that, I'd have to see Leonard's point of his POV as well, because it looked like from Snake's POV he just went a bit deep, and so did Leonard. But it's very difficult to say just from one POV alone. But I want to talk about quickly this penalty with Kilder, because this could change things up, because we could see Linthart and Matteo not feeling like they really have to defend from him because he's got a penalty. But then there's Ivan Santamaria that Kilder has to be careful about and might have to defend from while Santamaria is pushing, because he wants that podium. He wants to get P3 in this race and not let Kilder go. So I think it's going to be a very close one between these top I would say even the top 5, I would say that it's going to be quite close, because Matty could even seal a podium here if he makes the right moves at the right time. But what's your read of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation, I guess, for Kild to the 2022 Grand Prix around here. Of course, Perez had those penalties for safety car deviations from the regulation. Let's say that slowing down too much away from the safety car is what it was. I think, if I recall correctly, he was of course in the lead of the race and did end up getting the traction onto the track and pulling away from Leclerc, or was it Sainz? Certainly Ferrari. So I mean, if Kild can get by here, he could build that gap. But I mean, it's been so tight between these top 3. I would say top 4, because Snakes was absolutely part of that challenge. But frustrating for Snakes to be out of the race when it looks so good for him. Could have been potentially a win here, and a bit disappointing for him that he's out of this race. Certainly, it is all to play for, isn't it? It is certainly all to play for. Wildy, he's in 10th position. We'll have to see what their progress is like. If they can get cracking, then we could see a kind of 2010 style Kubica-esque drive through the field to get points at the last. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, with Wildy though, I do think with his penalty, it is going to make it a struggle to fight probably at the side of the top 5.
Oh, Linthart's left the session.
Connection there.
So
I think that wasn't
it's a good time to leave the session, because you can get back in it before the safety car comes out. At the back, Diego Fernandez pitted. He's gone onto a pair of soft tyres, so he is going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm unsure whether they will make it towards the end, but he'll certainly have great pace at the start here. Safety cars can breed safety cars in those situations, and often when you have drivers with tyre compound offsets, then you can have big problems. But if Sixten Linhart can get back into the session before the safety car comes back in, then I don't think this will hurt him too greatly. Actually, probably the best time to have a disconnection, because no cars can overtake you. They have to stick behind. Otherwise, if this happened in the normal race conditions, you go ghost and you can just drive straight through you. You'll probably be going very slowly too. So, yeah, probably the best time for it to happen. But the AlphaTauri driver needs to get back into the lobby very quickly, because I think the safety car is going to be in this lap.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something disappointing, of course, if he doesn't get back in time. But we've got to look at this for Matteo now. This is good for him. It's good timing. But the whole issue is for Matteo is that he's got the pace. We know he does. But it's almost like he doesn't seem to have the aggression, as we do see. It is confirmed from race control. Safety car is in this lap. Still, Sixten Linhart still not back in to the lobby. Matteo killed, and all the drivers behind Sixten, of course, looking to possibly gain a place from this. We'll see if he does get back in. It's a couple of corners left.
It's looking too late. I'm grimacing at the idea of this restart. I've never seen an AI restart the race before in these conditions. Luckily, it'll be ghosting, so whatever happens, it will be away. But Matteo could inherit the lead of the race here, and I don't think Sixten Linhart is going to get back. So the AI is going to restart this one, but we will go racing again here on lap 23 of the Singapore Grand Prix, and it's going to a bit of bumping between the two was there, and Matteo will probably try and get by Sixten Linhart immediately into turn one. But the battles between Killed and Matteo, of course, and Matteo is hasn't got 3 seconds worth of penalty. Killed has. Ivan Santamaria behind. Sixten Linhart has just rejoined, but he'll see himself fall down the order, and now Matteo will see that as a chance to get overtake, and he's going to go so slow. How far back will he go? He's leading the race for most of it. The disconnection at the worst time, and Killed right behind Matteo here. He'll want to overtake Ivan Santamaria, and Sixten Linhart battling the AI, falling ever further backwards here. Matti up to 4th position, Mika up to 5th, and Kayan is into 7th position here too. And I wonder when Sixten will be able to actually rejoin the race. Right, he's rejoined because his ghosting is over, so he's fallen all the way down to 7th position. He is out of place for the pace he has in the race.
Yeah, disappointing there. I do feel so bad for Linhart. He deserved to hold on to that lead, if I'm being honest. But it happens, sadly.
Fernandez just sent a lunge up Artois for 11th position. He's on those soft tyres, though, so that's why he's carving his way through the pack. Sorry to cut over you there.
And Wildy goes for the move on Emmy. And that's a good move from Wildy. Oh, bit of contact further back. Okay, thank God he didn't go into the wall.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'm just happy we don't want this to end in safety car. But again, we're seeing this gap between the front three. But Santamaria at the moment will have a confirmed P2 if he can keep the timings like this. I want to take us back to our new race leader, Matteo. What do you think? How do you think he's driven today?
I mean, it's been consistent. He just seemed to fall away from that pack a little bit under the safety car, under the first pit, sorry. But that safety car came out at a perfect time for him. And since then, we've seen Snakes go off into the wall. We've seen Sixten Linhart have a disconnection. And the race, really, no fault of the other drivers, you could say, has just gone towards Matteo here. And Matteo, the McLaren driver, leading the race here on lap 24, has Killed just behind. He is in the pound seat to take victory here.
Yeah, definitely. I see Linhart is going for a move. It doesn't work on Kayan there. Needs a little bit more of a strong move there. A little bit of a better braking zone, but Killed and Santamaria are keeping up. And I see a move further back between. Oh, it's contact.
Oh, that's possibly a safety car. Fernandez.
Yeah.
Out of this race, and that is another safety car. Yeah. Oh. Crikey.
That was, even in my opinion, when it comes to sim racing, even that was a scary crash. I mean, he almost lifted him out of the air.
Yeah.
But disappointing for Diego Fernandez. He was making his way through, I think, again, like possibly earlier Leonard just possibly just trying to defend a little bit too much, getting a little bit too defensive, being a little bit too aggressive with the defending, and I think he might have damage because of that. But if he doesn't, he's very lucky.
Oh,
But I could see him getting a penalty.
Matteo is coming towards the pits. I think just trying to play mind games on the cars behind and make sure that they aren't boxing opposite. But I don't see anyone coming to the pits. I did say when Diego Fernandez put those softs on that safety cars breed safety cars, and you often see situations where different drivers decide to go on a better set of tyres and then get a little bit impatient and start to make moves. And of course, it was I think it was Leonard Jask and Diego Fernandez who came together at turn 12 there. And again, one we'd have to watch again to get a full view of that. But very much Fernandez trying to get a job done, trying to get by, and the impatience to get by ended up in problems. And you could say that maybe with Snakes, that if he just waited for a better overtaking opportunity on it was Leonard Jask as well. I think he's been absolutely under wars today. If he waited for a better overtaking opportunity, maybe down towards turn 7, he could have got by better. But yeah, it's what's happened now, and it's all about the focus on the rest of the race. Very surprised it's only the 11th, 12th and 13th position who have pitted for the soft tyre here, because that will be a massive advantage at this restart.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised by that, but I can see why, for instance, the top 4 or 5 didn't, because they could have a chance at a podium, if they get a good restart. But I want to take our attention to one driver who I have to say has been slightly unlucky in this race, and that's Sixten Lindhart. He's currently 7th. He hasn't driven badly today. He's been by far, I would say, the most consistent driver out of a lot of drivers, when it comes to lap times. But his unlucky disconnection has made him fall down to P7, but it's still not bad for first race in the season, I believe it is for him. So I would say it's definitely still good.
I think he was here last week. I think he was. I'm not. Maybe it wasn't. No, he was there because he's 9th in the championship, so second race of the season. But yeah, he very, very unlucky.
Yeah, there he is.
Scabsy in the chat said the luck is not on the Sixten side, and you can certainly say that. Hello to everyone in chat, by the way. We've not really mentioned you today. Hello, Jess, to a message ages ago. Jake as well. Leonard said EOS Wildy at some point? Question mark. I think it's FBR Wildy. So unless he's changed team recently, I think it's FBR Wildy. But yeah, hello to everyone. We are going to have racing underway here again. Those cars at the back decide to pit, and that I think is just to get the absolute most fresh rubber at the end of the race here. I mean, what does that make a big difference? Maybe 4% tyre degradation difference between a new and old set of softs. Is it more about getting them to the end, that move?
Thing is, you can get them to the end easily now with 4 or 5 laps to go. It'll be easy. The one thing I am interested by is it's not even for the maybe 5-6% of tyre wear. It's the fact that not more drivers have pitted. That's what I'm shocked by. That I expected to see at least half the grid pit for soft, but they haven't. I guess they're all trying to just find their way, because some drivers do have penalties, and because it is so late in the race, it could change their position. And so I kind of see why some drivers haven't pitted. But for some others, for instance, drivers like, for instance, Emmy, he could have pitted, but he hasn't.
Yeah.
And he would have still come out in he would have been P10, so he could have pitted.
Yeah, I agree.
And get through the positions.
Track position is king. I'd be tempted to risk a couple of points, 3 points, maybe Wildy picking up 3 points, Emmy picking up 2 points, Michelle picking up 1 point at the moment, but they have penalties. I'd be happy to risk it, but we do have the safety car come in this lap. Hello, Timo Kuipers. Nice to see you on your travels today. Sad to not see you driving, of course. Hopefully you're back next week. And Timo says the tyre wear on softs is harsh on this track, and that's why they may pit again. So yeah, fair enough. But yeah, we are having racing going again here, and of course we don't have the AI restarting this one. This time it's LR's Matteo for the McLaren team. He's going to be warming up, trying to get a bit of heat into that medium tyre so he doesn't spin it out at the final corner. That's one thing really easy to do. If you don't have heat in a tyre here, you can easily drop it at that final corner on a restart. I've seen that happen a few times before in league racing, but Killed will be desperate for a really good restart. Ivan Santamaria also one who wants to get the throttle down quickly, and Matteo sends it quite late, still hasn't gone, and now goes between the final two corners, and Matteo maybe under just a little bit of pressure from Killed into the first corner, and he looks for the move. He doesn't go for it. Meanwhile, Wildy up the inside of Sixten Linhart. They're battling in the midfield, and is there contact between the two? I think, actually Killed has got by Matteo. And Matteo and Killed, they're still battling through turns 1, 2 and 3, and Matteo just getting back ahead there.
Yeah, big mistake. And there's a driver off further back than that is Michelle, battling, going up and down the field here. Closest battle is between Leonard and Antoine, and Kilder takes the lead. Oh, it's contact out in the lead, and Matty is off. He's spun round. What is happening off of this restart? Yeah. It is a crazy one, but Kilder takes the lead. But because of Kilder's penalty, as it stands, it will still be Matteo to win the race. I suspect Matteo might have some damage. I suspect he might,
now,
because he's falling off He's falling off quite quickly.
The Aston Martin's now going for an overtake on Mika into P13 here. Absolutely hungry. Two charging Aston Martins behind this Mercedes. And very much under threat here, massively. Mika BM massive on the back foot. There's contact into the wall again further down the field. I didn't quite see who that was, but I think it was Leonard Jask involved with that as well. Lindhart too. Lindhart's had an absolutely terrible afternoon after falling down the mid-pack. But Mika BM very much under pressure. Killed, does get by Matteo. Matteo can just play that option of sticking behind Killed, but if Killed maybe has a warning removed or something erroneous happens, of course the steward's protest could be waived. Killed could still take the win here even without that 3-second gap. Benche Pascas does pick up another 3-second time penalty, so he has a total of 6 seconds in this race. Sixten Linhart has retired from the session, so I think he's put in the pits. I think he's had enough today.
Yeah. Also, I want to take us to this battle in the midfield for P4 as it stands. Michelle also chooses to retire, and it's between Kine and Mika. Again, we're talking about an Aston Martin in this battle. As Wildy goes off, I just see that in the background, and Kilder has another 3-second penalty. This is massive. Looking at the penalties now, Kilder has 6 seconds of penalties. This will put him down in P5.
Yeah, so
that's harsh.
There's no way he's getting all those 6 seconds removed. So Matteo can very much be safe to know that he can stay within 3 seconds of the car ahead and probably pick up the win here. There was battling further down the order. Wildy, I think, has made a mistake. He's actually got front wing damage. So our championship leader with front wing damage, Artois, right behind, trying to make moves. And of course, Wildy has that 3-second penalty, but they'll want to battle. Cayenne, meanwhile, battling for Mika with Mika BM up to 4th position. He goes. The Aston Martin will try to pick up and secure good points for the team to maintain their constructors' lead as we leave Singapore and head to the French Grand Prix next time out. But Kilde, importantly and consequentially, has those 6 seconds worth of penalties. That means that Matteo and Ivan Santamaria are in the true fight for the lead of this race, but Matteo can just stay in that little pocket between the two, using the DRS of the car in front to protect his position from Santamaria. Cayenne will be desperate to get by, and I think Wildy is losing further positions. Artois has got by in a typically tight and technical section, and I think that Artois is going to be much like the rest of them, getting by Wildy with ease here with that damage. I wonder if it's better for him just to go and pit and try and take fastest lap off of someone else. Of course, he won't secure the points because he didn't finish in the top, if he doesn't finish in the top 10, but I mean, there's only 11 drivers running here, so nearly everyone's going to secure points he finishes here.
Yeah, Bence, another pit stop for him as I just look down the order. But a crazy race it has been. Wildy struggling. And so is Matty as well. Tough start for both of these drivers. It's been a strange race for one Aston Martin and that one Haas out there. not sure what to really say about it, but looking further ahead, Ivan Santamaria is back into this race and he could win it.
Yeah, 100%. Only 5 tenths behind Matteo, and Killed has almost broken that 1 second toe. Now, in terms of the race, Killed will be just looking further back down the field to the likes of Cayenne. Can he create a big enough gap to stay on the podium? But if Matteo loses that second and he does just creep back under it into a kind of 7 tenths, 6 tenths territory, so I think that threat has just dissipated away, maybe using a bit of EOS tactically to stay within that DRS window. But if he does lose DRS, Ivan Santamaria will start to go on the attack and try and take positions. As we head onto the penultimate lap of this Singapore Grand Prix, we've had 30 laps of racing and 29 laps of racing rather. We're on our 30th lap of racing now, and it is all to battle for. There is battles further down the field. Leonard Jask getting past Wildy, maybe just running a little bit wide through 1, 2 and 3, and is he going to return that position because of that? I think good sportsmanship. No, he's keeping that position. I thought he was going to try and return it there, but Wildy will try to go for the switchback, and he won't have DRS, so he didn't get DRS there, so that didn't work out for Wildy. But Wildy in 9th position. I think he'll just be happy taking 10th at this point. I don't think he'll be happy taking 10th. I think he's probably resigned to take 10th. It'll be a point in the championship, and I'm not quite sure who has fastest lap here. But yeah, I think it is Wildy. So it will be 2 points in the championship as things stand.
Yeah, very good. Going back to the front of the grid, Ivan Santamaria is keeping close, and Matteo is struggling to keep up with Kilder. I mean, Santamaria, I did not think at the start of this race we'd be saying Santamaria could be going for a win here. And it's an exciting end. Do you want to take the last lap?
Happy either way, to be honest, because, yeah, I think even Santamaria will be desperate for an overtake here. But Kill just not good in that final sector, and that allowed Matteo to just bleed back into this race, get DRS, and it will be all about who has more ERS. I think Matteo actually carrying more ERS than Ivan Santamaria, so I think it's going to be a tall order for Ivan Santamaria to get into first position here in the race. Of course, once that penalty has been applied for Kilder, but anything could happen on the final lap, and it's going to be absolutely all or nothing down into turn 7 here. Ivan Santamaria will deploy, but I think they're clipping already. You can see the lights flashing for both of them, and Matteo looking for maybe a move on Killed, but doesn't need to have that race. So I think, unless there's a mistake in these final part of the final 2 sectors of this lap, it's going to be Matteo from Ivan Santamaria. I don't think Killed has done enough to pull a gap on 4th position, so I think they'll be losing the podium, but will be able to keep 4th position as things stand. Maybe one of those penalties will be removed at the end. You never know. We'll have to keep an eye on the final race results after a few days of stewarding takes place, but it's been a very low-key drive to first position here for Matteo. Didn't really ever look like taking the lead of the race during the first stint. We saw Sixten Linhart lead for most of it. Then the safety cars came out. Things started to change and unravel after Snakes had that collision with Leonard Jask, who's been right in the wars today. And then we saw another collision with Diego Fernandez bring out another safety car. And Matteo has kind of got back into this one through just chancing, but Matteo will be absolutely delighted to win. You've got to be in it to win it, and he'll come out at the top, and Matteo takes his first win of season 33 into first position to go. Ivan Santamaria comes over second. Kiel does lose out on third position, so it's Cayenne up into the podium positions. Podiums back-to-back for Aston Martin after Wildy's win last week, and Wildy, our championship winner, only good enough for 10th today, does pick up the fastest lap as well, so that will be an extra point. No, Benche Vasquez took that off him, so it will only be a point for him. And yeah, that is the top 3. Kildy falls down to 4th position. Mika Biemp in 5th. Stella Artois in 6th position for the second time.
Yeah, definitely an important one. Well done to Matteo. I've got to give it to him. Very close finish, though. Only about 4 tenths dividing the top 2. But, I mean, we've got to give it to Kine, don't we? From last to 3rd. Yeah. That's a good day, isn't it?
That is a really good day. That is a very good day. Actually, Matty crossed the line without a front wing, so very much on the back front. He'll lose a couple of positions because, of course, he has that 5-second penalty because of that incident back in Spain. So he'll fall down into ninth position. Wildy wasn't close to capitalise on that one. But yeah, wing damage after that final restart really complicating things for Wildy, falling back through the pack. And actually, yes, it was the Alfa Romeo of Artois who was the highest finisher on a pair of softs. So that did get him up to sixth position, and that's good points for the Alfa Romeo team. And yeah, Emmy in ninth position. Again, the rookie's doing well here and securing decent points for Alfa. But it was Matteo who took the win, of course. And let's not forget about that. Maybe he'll feel fortuitous that he took the win, but hopefully be able to talk to him after the race and see what his thoughts of the race were. Of course, events transpired against other drivers, but Matteo was there to take the win.
Yeah, definitely. Shall we have the rundown of how it finished?
Absolutely, take it away.
So, our race winner from third to first, it's Matteo. Second is Santa Maria, very good drive. Kine from 16th to third. Kildare, difficult race for him today. Mika 5th, Stella Artois 6th, Massey 7th, Leonard 8th, Emmy 9th, Wildy 11th, and Bentz was the last of the race finishers, and the rest have all DNF'd, as I won't have time to say all the names.
Yeah.
But an exciting, a quite exciting race, to be honest, to finish off Singapore. You know, we had times where we thought it was going to be dominance from a specific driver. In the end, no one was really dominant. We couldn't have ever predicted it. But well done to Matteo, honestly, on that win. It was some really good driving, some really close driving as well.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see if anyone wants to join us for an interview. I've not seen anyone jump into the waiting room. Actually, could you pop a message down into the chat just to see if any of the top three there want to join and talk through their races? I'm sure Matteo will be very happy with it. Cayenne 16th to third, as you said and highlighted. It's an impressive feat indeed. And yeah, hopefully we can try and get one or two of the drivers in for an interview just to talk through the race. It was a bit of a chaotic one, but a low-key chaotic is how I describe it, because it wasn't action all the time, but we certainly had a topsy-turvy race through those safety car periods. And yeah, I did enjoy that one actually quite a lot. So yeah, important. An interesting race. We head to France next time out, by the way. So Paul Ricard is going to be the next circuit on the calendar. Actually, we can switch over to the calendar view so we can have a full view of what remains in this calendar. So France next week, Austria the week after, Baku in 3 weeks' time. That could be a similarly safety car heavy race. And yeah, who's your driver today? Let's do that.
It's so difficult to say between the drivers, but there's really only one driver, and that's Kine. I've got to give it to him. He just drove so well from the back of the grid to third. I mean, that was a drive that, in my view, is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yep. So we're going to bring Matteo in here to the commentary box. So congratulations, Matteo, on your win. Maybe one that you didn't expect to have going into that first safety car period.
Yeah, thanks first of all. I definitely didn't expect that. I was really just driving in third place, hoping already kind of, I mean, no, at one point the Ferrari, I don't know what happened to Snakes, I think it was. But yeah, they were just in the wall.
A collision with Leonard Jask is what happened. It was kind of just off screen for us too, but that brought out the first safety car, and that's when it started to really fortuitously come towards you. Of course, you were always in that podium position, but did you feel like before that you were just maybe slipping away from those front runners?
Not really. It was more or less just I tried to stay out of the dirty air as most as I possibly can without losing the DRS. But yeah, we were just driving laps after lap after lap. It was so intense, and then of course very unlucky for Sixten with the disconnect, I guess it was. But I'll take it.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, a win. In F5, did you expect wins this season? And I'm not quite sure where that puts you in the championship, but I think it puts you somewhere quite nicely. I can try and get you a provisional place at least in the standings. I think you are you may be in first position in the championship now because of that.
First.
Yeah,
Oh.
because Wildy had a
Surprising.
terrible race. Wildy had a terrible race. The championship leader had a terrible race. You finished. Where did you finish last time out? You finished in 8th position. So I think it's just kind of worked out that you are 19 points, 2 points ahead of Wildy. So you're first in the championship and going to France. Do you think you can build a championship from this result today?
It definitely will be hard. There are a lot of good drivers in this grid. So, I don't know, I didn't expect it. I was kind of hoping for it because I do quite like Singapore. So, if I expected a win, then maybe here. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I definitely didn't expect that to lead the championship now, but it's a nice feeling.
You're not going to say no to it, are you?
No, definitely not.
But, yeah, any questions yourself, Epic, for Matteo before we let him go?
Yeah, just one. What was your sort of mindset in those last couple of laps where you were leading when you were leading in those last couple of laps where it was crucial with Santa Maria behind you? What was your thinking behind that?
Yeah, Kilde was in front with the penalty. So I could have maybe attacked in the last lap, but I didn't want to because I was looking behind, saved a bit of ERS to really defend any attacks from behind, and it was close. There was a lot of pressure, but it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah, congratulations still on the win.
Thanks.
So that is going to conclude our broadcast today. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. Sorry for the poor production at the start of the broadcast. Hopefully the commentary was good enough to make up for that. But yeah, thank you very much. Next week we are at the Circuit de Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, France. And yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Please join us. Of course, plenty of streams throughout the night. There'll probably be a stream going on for another one if you're not already watching that now. So yeah, thank you for watching and good night.